Hi, hope you're doing well. We are picking up on chapter 39 of Wishtree by Catherine Applegate. So, at long last, I stopped talking. Once the world had spilled out, it was like trying to stop the wind. In silence that followed, I felt as if the whole world was holding its breath. I had broken a rule. Stephen and Samar still stared open mouthed at me. They looked as rooted to the ground as I was. Neither had uttered a sound while I told my story. Front door to Stephen's house opened. Stephen, called his father. What in the world are you doing, young man? Stephen leapt to his feet. Here I come, Dad. Night, Smar. Night, Stephen, she said. Stephen dashed towards the porch, but stopped halfway. He spun around to look at me. Thanks, he said in a quizzical voice, using the same tone he might have used if Bongo had just made him pancakes. The door slammed behind him. Samar stood, holding her blanket to her chest. I know I must be dreaming, she said. She headed to her own porch and eased open the door. I just wish, she added with a smile, that I didn't have to wake up. Chapter 40. Almost instantly, I regretted what I had done. I had broken a rule, the biggie. I had deliberately spoken to people, and not just a few words. I had spoken a river of words. It wasn't like that frog in the mailbox. I hadn't broken the rule accidentally. I'd broken the rule because I wanted something. I wanted to matter. I wanted to do something meaningful before I passed. I had done it for myself. After the shocked babies and their equally shocked parents were safely in their dens, I admitted my feelings to Bongo. I waited for her to yell at me. Bongo's good at yelling. Extremely good. You might even say she has a gift. Why did I do it, Bongo? I murmured. Why? She flew to home plate. She stroked my rough bark with her sleek head. You did it, my wise old tree, because you had a story to tell. It was foolish, I said. I'm not supposed to be foolish. Not so foolish, Bongo said, just hopeful, and everyone needs to hope, read, even wise old trees. Chapter 41. Morning emerged slowly, heavy with dark clouds. A light rain had fallen just before dawn, soothing my leaves, if not my mood. Oddly, the ground felt saturated. Spring was always muddy, of course, but this was unusual. It would make for a messy wishing day tomorrow. An early rising old gentleman with a bamboo cane approached. He paused to attach a small piece of blue paper to my lowest branch using a bit of twine. He didn't say his wish out loud, so I couldn't tell what it was, but he had a satisfied smile as he stepped carefully through the soggy grass. No doubt I'd be seeing more wishes today. Many people came early to grab an easy spot to reach. This would probably be my last wishing day. How could it be that my first one that long ago with Maeve still seems so fresh in my heart and my conversation with Stephen and Samar as my conversation with Stephen and Samar from the previous night? A car slowed to a crawl near the curb. I saw an arm, a blur, and then splat. Something hit my trunk. Splat, splat, 2 more times, and the car roared off with the screeching tires. Bongo was the first to report on the damage. Raw eggs, she said. I'm assuming that didn't hurt. Didn't feel a thing, I said. Fresh baked bread, hairy spiders, and Big U ventured out to inspect the situation. Big U slipped under the police tape and licked one of the yolks sliding down my trunk. She murmured, raw, just the way I like 'em. Hey, Big, share the wealth, Harry Spider snapped as she and Fresh joined her. Angie's watched from her perch. I'd much prefer a squirming mouse pup, she said. It's all yours, ladies. What a nice surprise, Big U said between slurps. This is not nice, Bungo said. This is people at their worst. Still, said Harry Spiders, licking her paws, it'd be a shame to let perfectly good egg goo go to waste. One creature's nastiness is another creature's nibble. Big U gave a satisfied burp, and the animals scampered back to their homes. The door to Stephen's house opened. He walked over to me, saw the eggshells scattered like puzzle pieces, and scowled. Samar was next. A backpack slung over her shoulder and books clutched to her chest, she leapt over a muddy puddle and joined Stephen. Ugh, that wasn't nice, he muttered, gesturing toward the egg remains. Sorry, Samar. But Samar held up her hand. Stephen, she said in a low voice. Last night. Stephen nodded ever so slightly, his eyes locked on me. The tree. The tree. You heard what I heard? Samar asked. I did. Samar looked right at Stephen. You heard the tree? I heard the tree. Samar gave a little nod. So it was maybe a trick? Somebody playing a joke on us? Maybe we're both sleepwalking at the same moment, Stephen suggested. He nodded as if trying to convince himself. Yeah, sleepwalking. Have you ever sleepwalked before? No, but there's a first time for everything. They stood there, looking at me expectantly, willing me to speak. At least that's how it felt. I stayed silent. I'd said my piece and I regretted it. Stephen, Samar said softly, whatever happens, we can't tell a soul about this. Deal? Deal. Ever? Ever. Samar sighed. People would say we were crazy. And they'd probably be right, said Stephen. Samar jutted her chin at me. Tree, do you have anything to add? I didn't say a word. Samar and Stephen shared a smile. Figured it was worth a shot, she said. They headed off to school together. Stephen's father came out onto the porch. He was holding a cup of coffee. He caught sight of Stephen and Samar and frowned. A moment later, Samar's mother stepped out of the blue house, her keys jingling, a briefcase over her shoulder. She followed her neighbor's gaze. Both parents watched in silence until Stephen and Samar, walking side by side, disappeared from view. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to stop there tonight. We'll pick up on chapter 42 tomorrow.